I've already read 100 pages of The Secret History, and let me tell you. What? Okay. Hello there, my name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for being here today. Alright, today we are going to do a reading vlog. I'm really excited for it. It's themed, of course, because don't trust Mackenzie to do just a random reading vlog. It'll be way too long. We are going to be doing a genre-themed reading vlog. We're doing dark academia. Since it's the first Dark Academia reading vlog, we're going to be doing the blueprint, okay? So I have gathered my sources and have decided on count 'em, two books that are the blueprint that a lot of people have decided on are the blueprint for Dark Academia. But before I tell you what we're going to be reading today, I first want to let you know about my experience with Dark Academia being basically nothing. So really, I heard about Dark Academia when everyone started posting book talks or TikToks with bookish themed vibes about Dark Academia and just the vibes of Dark Academia. And a lot of the times it would be like a lookbook of a girl with like pleated skirts or white shirts or dark shirts. I don't know. I mean, they look nice, but they just look like preppy school girls kind of, but also everyone's upset. I don't know. I could never gather what that genre was supposed to mean based on the lookbooks that I was seeing. Basically just that it was maybe dark and students, maybe a school setting. All I figured was that if it was a school setting, it was probably Dark Academia, right? At that point, that's when I read A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, the first book. And in that book, our main character, what's her name? Diana, works at a university, and basically everything that she does takes place at that university. All she does is look through textbooks, all she does is read old manuscripts, and that's basically the whole premise of the book, is looking for specific manuscripts. So I thought that this was pretty Dark Academia-ish, especially considering like her professor is also a witch. That's not a spoiler, that's just something that is. There's a lot of creatures of the night, vampires, and werewolves? I'm not sure. It's been a little bit. Anyway, I thought that I then understood Dark Academia and could proceed forward reading Dark Academia books, and I would already know what I'm getting into. Boy, was I wrong. So, the two books that we're going to be reading for this vlog are The Secret History by Donna Tartt, also Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko. So this is a translated work. I forget where it's translated from. Editing Mackenzie, let the people know. I have decided on these two novels mainly because one is written primarily in English and then the other one is a translated works, and both of them, a lot of people have said, have great basics like following the real structure of what makes something Dark Academia. And with these being the most popular, when you research the genre of Dark Academia, I figured it would be kind of a no-brainer to start with these ones and then branch out from there. So I've already read 100 pages of The Secret History, and let me tell you. What? Okay, so first of all, these chapters are super long. They're so long. There's almost no breaks, and not like that really bothers me. I'm kind of a demon, and I'll just stop in the middle of a sentence if I need to. But I'm on chapter 3, page 104. So long. The chapters are so long, right? So the prelogue starts with the students murdering their fellow student. Okay? And then book 1, yeah, I think it's divided into 2 books. So book 1 starts, and here we go. Now we're back in the past. And he starts talking about how, like, you know, he can't believe he got away with this murder, and it's been like 10 years, and so he's like, let me tell you about it. And I'm like, okay, so are we just gonna read about this murder that this guy gets away with? This is how I know that I don't mind reading bad characters or morally gray characters or just flat out evil characters. I don't mind, but you gotta start that way. And we totally did. So the first two chapters are about Richard. I always forget his name, but apparently it's Richard. And he goes to college. Reading this book is so interesting because it's like, when I get back into it, when I start reading, I'm like, yeah, I know these people. I know what's going on. I have a firm understanding. But as soon as I stop reading, like, it's only been a day and a half. And as soon as I stop reading, I'm like, yeah, I have no idea. It's a lot. It's a lot that's happening, a lot that's being thrown at you. So basically, Richard goes to college, and he wants to take Greek, but the Greek teacher is really, like, obtuse, and if you want to take Greek, you have to be in his, like, cult club, basically. Richard works on the Greek teacher, or the Greek teacher works on Richard. I'm not sure. They have an interaction, and the conversation is strange, and then the Greek teacher's like, you can be my student, but I also have to be your counselor, and I have to be your every other teacher also. And he's like, that seems interesting. Why? And then the teacher gives the explanation that, like, Aristotle and all of, like, the great thinkers of, like, the Greek time only had one teacher, which is like, that's fair, but are you really rejecting modernity that much? So anyway, the guy buys into it, and he, like, tries to integrate himself into, like, the 5 other students who are taking this Greek class. First, it seems that they don't like him, and it seems like he doesn't like them. And then he sees something weird happen between one of the teacher and the student is like, should I do what's necessary? And the teacher's like, you should only ever do what's necessary. And then Richard's like, what the hell is going on here? And instead of leaving the Greek school to go back to his regular college, you know, like, to come out of the Greek school and go back to regular college, he just stays, and the people, the other Greek students start to like him more. And I'm like, okay, what is this? Because I'm almost confused, because I almost feel like either Richard should be the one who should have been murdered, because he's, like, the outsider, or I feel like they should have been murdering Richard's romantic rival. But that's not who they murder either. I'm like, why did they murder that kid? Yeah, that's where we're at. And I'm going to check in with you at the end of book 1, right before book 2, and then again at the end, and then we'll move on to Vita Nostra. I've already tabbed this one out. This one also doesn't really have, I mean, it does. The chapters are just very long. They're very long, and then there's parts of it too. So I got it tabbed at 52 pages in, and at the beginning of part 2 and at the beginning of part 3, and then at the end we'll come together and we'll talk about it, and that'll be great for us. All right, are you excited? I'm excited. So I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, it's check-in time, you guys. I read from chapter 3. I read this whole chunk before checking in with you guys. So we're on book 2. Okay, so in the prologue, we know that this group of students kill their classmate. That's something that's told to us in the prologue, not even in the summary. So the whole time, basically this whole chunk, you're like, okay, so I know that this kid's gonna die. What is happening, you know? And then literally after chapter 3 gets started, that's when everything gets started, right? Like, we figure out why this group of Greek students is so freaking weird. Well, not even why. We just get more confirmation as to that they are weird. And what they did, and why they feel like they need to go on the run, right? So it happens very slowly, where it's like, okay, now you're seeing that the trouble that they're in, and now you see why their classmate is becoming a threat. And it's like, okay, As the students are talking about it, they seem super on board, right? But then, like, they start saying, like, Jesus, we're gonna really do this? Like, yeah, you spent, like, chapter upon chapter talking about how you were going to do this, okay? So now the deed's been done. Now the classmate we're caught up to where we were in the prologue. And there's a whole other, like, 200 pages left? A good amount of 100 pages left. Chapter 6, in case you were wondering how this was paced. And I don't know what even is gonna happen. Like, is the rest of the book gonna be about them getting away with it? Like, how they got away with it? Because in the first chapter, the main character, Richard, is like, I can't believe I've gotten away with it all these years. And so now I'm just like, what's the rest of the story even gonna be about? I'm super intrigued. Like, after the last check-in with you guys, I decided to get the audiobook, and it's been a breeze to get through all of these pages. I read them in 2 chunks, which I was pretty satisfied with after being fairly slumpy. And I will see you guys at the end of this book. Actually, I won't see you till the end of this book, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll be moving on. So I'll see you in a little bit. Final check-in for The Secret History. This was such a strange experience, you guys. Look, the aesthetic pictures and the lookbooks that you guys put together for Dark Academia on BookTube and Book Talk did not prepare me enough for what this was actually gonna be. Like, people are murdered, and they're awful. They're not good people at all. And, like, this strange, like, almost critique on thinking yourself too smart. Almost this conversation, really, on is it possible to take students who believe themselves or who are so weak and they just want praise so much that you can manipulate them? Like, I wasn't prepared, okay? The aesthetic that I have seen is not the same as what it was actually written in this book, and I wasn't prepared. I really wasn't. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely, actually, and I don't know if it's just me, I'm finding myself, my attention is kind of thrown all over the place these days. So what I've been doing to make sure I'm focusing on the book is reading it physically while also having the audiobook going through my Libby app. So it kind of keeps me on track for the book, and I finished book 2 in 2 parts. So, I mean, it's really riveting. It's really interesting. I do appreciate the conversation of philosophy that's happening. I really appreciate this character study of all of these students who find themselves in this unique situation where they want to be secluded and thought of as, like, the best of the best, but still, like, fall prey to, like, their own fallacies. Like, what? Like, I just get caught up thinking about it sometimes. It's just very strange. So now that we have finished The Secret History, we're going to pick up Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko. So this is a translated work. Wow, the margins. Look at that. Okay, but I mean, this 559-page book has 8 chapters and an epilogue. With Vita Nostra, with this, I mean, you can't scare me with just the margins anymore, okay? I feel the thickness of this paper. I'll be fine. While vacationing at the beach with her mother, teenage Sasha meets the mysterious Ferit Kozennikov, and finds herself powerless to refuse when this unusual, vaguely sinister man directs her to perform a task with potentially scandalous consequences. He rewards her with a strange gold coin. As the days progress, Sasha carries out other acts for which she receives more coins from Kozennikov. You see, if I had the audiobook. As summer ends, her domineering mentor directs her to use her gold coins to enter the Institute of Special Technologies in a remote village. Against her mother's wishes, Sasha leaves behind all that is familiar. She quickly discovers the Institute's special technologies are unlike anything she has ever encountered. The books are impossible to read, the lessons are obscure to the point of maddening, and the work refuses memorization. Using terror and coercion, I know how to read. The school does not punish students directly for their transgressions and failures. Instead, their families pay a terrible price. Yet, despite her fear, Sasha undergoes changes that defy the dictates of matter and time. Experiences which are like nothing she has ever dreamed of, and suddenly, all she could ever want. A brilliant dark fantasy combining psychological suspense, enchantment, and terror, this internationally acclaimed Russian novel receives its definitive English language translation in the hands of Julia Matov-Hersey. So I can't read very well. I think that's what we should learn. I'm very excited. It seems very enchanting. I like this kind of almost fantasy element that's happening. I think we're really gonna like this. All right, are you ready? All right, so I read, 52 pages. I left off right here of Vita Nostra. This is weird. Okay, so as opposed to Secret History, where this one starts off in the prologue telling you not only there was a murder, but who was murdered, in Vita Nostra, we don't really get any of that. We get, like, super relatable bad mother-daughter relationship, and, like, it was kind of rough to read. Like, I know that's not supposed to be the hardest part to read or to think about, especially within the first 50 pages when she's doing, like, the weird tasks that this guy is asking of her. But it was just too relatable, right? Like, so the mother is, like, already, like, disengaged. They go on vacation, and the daughter, like, is doing everything for them, and the mother, like, just doesn't really care. And then she meets this guy on vacation, and then, like, stops, like, giving love to her daughter. Like, it's... Anyway, the tasks that this man makes her do are, like, weird. And, like, I forget exactly where I read about or watched this theory take place, but basically the way you manipulate someone is you start by asking for small favors, you know? And at first it could be like, oh, can you do this for me? Or can you do that for me? And then slowly but surely you start asking more grand favors because they've already started saying yes to you. And since they've already been saying yes to you, they will more than likely say yes to you. So that was kind of what it felt like here, because, like, but they didn't even start as small favors. They started as, like, that's not exactly perverted, but it's a little perverted. I'll tell you. If you want to know what the tasks are, stay tuned. If not, scrub. And you'll see when I'm done talking about the task. I'll put a spoiler mark there, okay? Scrub until there's no spoiler mark if you don't want to see this. So the first task happens when she's on vacation, and what he wants her to do is get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to the beach when no one's there, strip down, skinny dip into the ocean, swim to the buoy, and swim back. She tries to do it by, like, getting into the ocean with her bathing suit and then taking the bathing suit off. He notices and tells her to not do that. And then on the day that she forgets, he has to know because something happens. So he's watching her. Okay. And then when they're out of vacation, he makes her run. Fine, running. But then after she's done running, she has to go into the bushes and pee. And she says it in the book. It sounds like he's taking her for a walk, like she's a dog. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm going to ask you to do something that's only slightly demeaning at first. And then how much longer until these tasks are going to get, or how much longer until, like, the situations are going to be way more demeaning than just maybe someone catching you skinny dip and you having to pee in the bushes. Like, It definitely makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, so now we're at the point where she's gathered, like, enough tokens of these gold coins, so after she does the task every day, she throws up, and in her throw up is gold coins. So she keeps all the gold coins, she has enough, and he tells her about this college, this Institute of Special Technologies that she is supposed to go to. And, like, he kind of says it like, you know, why do you want to live this life you're living right now? You know, I mean, like, school is boring, papers are boring, this world is boring, your mom really doesn't like you, and she has a new boyfriend, so, like... And I'm like, that is some manipulative BS right there. Like, he took control of her life for a year, made her swim naked and go pee in a bush after running for a year, and then he's like, see? Why do you want to, like... And I know that these dark academia books are supposed to be, like, a criticism on, like, this mentor relationship that develops where you, like, allow someone to have such an impact on your life where it changes everything. But it's hitting hard in the first 50 pages. It's part 1, and I think it goes just into part 2. But there are no chapters. They do have, like, breaks, but... that's about it. I mean, in regards to pacing, even though there aren't really chapters, the pacing isn't off either. It's very, you know, we're moving. So, little disturbed, still intrigued. Can't wait to see where this is going, because she met another student at the train station, and it seems like his situation is much different than hers. So, like, alright, let's keep reading. So I'm back. Part 2, what page is this? 167. You guys, a lot has happened. I know it's been about 100 pages, but, like, a lot has happened. Okay, so we're at the school, and we find out that, like, everybody's tasks were different. Trigger warning for dubious consent. Like, it's not described in the book, but one of the girls' tasks is to have sex with a bunch of people. And is it consent if she's being threatened with her boyfriend being tossed in jail on homicide charges? I don't necessarily think so. So, that... is, like, I knew it was gonna get here, right? We were just talking about how the tasks that Sasha had to perform were, like, just demeaning enough to be demeaning, and, like, how much longer until they're gonna ask her to do more demeaning things. And it's not necessarily that they're gonna ask more demeaning of you, but, like, everyone had their own variation of demeaning. And it's weird, too, because it's like the girl, it's like she's supposed to be the academic rival, but she's also, like, more girly and flirtatious and everything else. And I'm like, I don't know if this is even supposed to be, like, a, you know, I don't know what they're trying to say with that sentiment. And it kind of makes me uneasy to think about. The rest of the story... it's kind of reminding me of the movie Chronicle, how the 3 boys find, like, the meteorite or something, and it gives them all powers, and one of them's, like, the apex predator now. That's what it seems like is happening to Sasha, right? So, like, she is doing so well in her studies, like, and it's really just, like, mental tricks. Like, imagine some type of shape, now imagine it inverting itself. And... I don't think the teachers are human. It's weird. I think that I almost want this to be, like, an elaborate form of alien abduction. I can't really say much more without just spoiling everything that's happening. And I don't want to spoil you for nothing. I really hope that this is good. Like The Secret History, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm very confused. I'm entirely intrigued. but I'd like to see where it's going. We need to talk about this for a moment here. What? So, I mean, I guess they're not aliens. I'm not going to lie to you that for the majority of this book, when they're talking about whatever is happening, you kind of just have to let your brain glaze over. You know when you get those pictures of, like, you know, it's a bunch of Mickey Mouses, and if you let your eyes unfocus, you can see the bigger picture, which sometimes will make up, like, a bigger Mickey Mouse, or a Minnie Mouse, or, like, different character altogether. It's kind of like that, but mentally. You just have to let your brain glaze over, and eventually you'll kind of have an understanding of what the big picture looks like, but I'm still not sure. I'm struggling with thinking about this as a giant metaphor for the way that the universe is being built, but also having to do with gods. I think divinity. Or is that my human perception just projecting all that I know? I'm just projecting it onto... What? I don't even know how to talk about this book at all. Like, even if we wanted to talk about spoilers, I could say some things, but unless you've read the book, I don't think you would understand what I'm trying to say. Because I was telling my husband about this book, and he just kept looking at me like I was kind of crazy. And that's how the book makes you feel. Like you're just kind of crazy. And it's almost insane, because the main character does kind of like... If you can understand this, the main character goes through a process of decomposition and recomposition of who they are. And during the decomposition phase, she feels like she's going crazy because she's, like, being whittled away to nothing. And then once she is built back up again, she's less confused. I mean, but then I'm just more confused. Okay, let's talk about both of the books. These two books are probably the most different that any books could be while still being in the same genre. I full on thought there were aliens in this book. And in this one, it's just murder, which is totally human. I was hoping to glean some sort of understanding after finishing both of these books of what dark academia is. What the genre is, what I can come to think of it as. I wanted to break down the aesthetic pictures that I saw online and really see what it meant when you read the genre. I have no idea what conclusions to draw at all. I am wanting to think that dark academia is just university, and it is very cerebral written, right? Like, The Secret History, they focused a lot on Greek mythology, whereas Vita Nostra, it was so much language. And they were talking about the building blocks of language and how words build sentences and mean things and create, and it's almost like, that's why I bring up divinity, because they talk about words and creation in that kind of sense, in a divine sense. This is the strangest reading vlog I've ever done. These two books are so weird. The cerebral way that the authors talk about their chosen subject, whether that be language or Greek mythology, Greek philosophy, Greek, honestly, just Greek. They almost use it as a metaphor for whatever else is happening to make it dark in their academia sense, right? So, like, they use a lot of, like, Greek rationale to reason themselves out of the murder and reason why they're still good people. And then they use a lot of language. I'm not sure if they mean like real word or if they're trying to use a metaphor, because they keep saying that it cannot be explained with human tongue. So I'm like, so am I not understanding it? I enjoyed both of these experiences very much, but I don't think that I learned much about dark academia aside from the aesthetic pictures that I'm seeing all over the place. I mean, they're not wrong. That's really what makes dark academia, and then you can layer any other kind of dark on top of that, whether it be like whatever's happening here. It's not normal what's happening here. It's not even a cult. I won't say it's a cult, and I say things are a cult all the time. But this was not a cult, I don't think. I think this was truly about divinity and creating, like, I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. And the fact that this was translated from Russian, not like the translation is bad, not at all. It is a great translation. But I feel like I must be missing something. I don't think I am, though. I think I'm supposed to be confused. Anyway, dark academia. What can we glean? What do we know? Takes place at a university. Also, some aspect of dark, whether it be a murder or weird talk of humanity and what does it mean to be human and what if we weren't human? But if you weren't human, what are you? I have no idea. So, I think that this is going to be something that I have to do another vlog on, because I mean, Dark Academia, who is she? I don't know her. We met at a party twice, and each time I met her, I feel like she looked different. Not because she was wearing a different top, but because her entire physiology was different. So I hope to meet her again soon. I hope you'll join me on that journey. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!